wrapped up in my sleeping bag, looking out the window at Aaron's house as the sun is beginning to creep over the horizon. And the trees are silhouetted black against the emerging blue sky with the fading stars up in the sky. And I think to myself how much I hate Aaron because he's got it fucking made with this fantastic house of his, this nice little piece of property tucked away out in the backwoods of South Dakota. God, I fucking hate him. I hope he dies. I hope he dies of syphilis. You piece of shit.
That intro will always bring a smile to my face. So, this is one I was thinking about. I got a list. If you're wondering what does the back operations look like, there's a list. I got the list. This one's been gnawing at me, and I had a couple examples. I forgot one of the really good ones, but my main point I wanted to make about was Disney, but communists in general at large. And I don't mean your economic Leninist political communists. I'm talking more of a cultural communism, a spiritual communism. I don't have it narrowed down too closely, but at the end, hopefully you'll see the point that I'm trying to make. But let me let me kind of give you a concept here of these people. All right. And you could see them in economists. Economists, I used to work in the field, blah, blah, blah. They're all a waste of time. It's a joke. The profession isn't legitimate. Please don't listen to economists. They don't know what they're talking about. The only time you should listen to an economist is when they tell you something you don't like. Then you might want to pay the fuck attention. I don't know if you remember a comment saying, yeah, housing market's going to crash. Burn him, burn him. It's like, really? Oh, look what happened. Oh, well. But in any case, but aside from the rare, like a Thomas Sowell or a Peter Schiff, or even myself, if I dare to include myself in that list, aside from them, most economists are essentially trying to do what alchemists did back in the day, and that is create gold from lead. And the reason, well, obviously, the idea was to make everybody rich, but the idea was to somehow make people infinitely wealthy without any work. They were looking for a shortcut. And as you know, there are no shortcuts in life. It's just you pissing away your money and choosing the really, really hard way when you're looking for a shortcut. But that doesn't prevent economists from happening. There's some economists out there who, if they sat down and consciously thought about, they actually believe that through tweaking interest rates here or increasing or lowering tax rates there, ooh, we spend ourselves a Keynesian stimulus on some government program there, that they will unlock the idea of unlimited wealth and somehow eliminate poverty and make us all independently wealthy. When if you just are a common sense man, it's, hey, then everybody better work really hard, spend less than you make, and don't make stupid decisions. That's it. There, I solved economics for you. There is no secret permutation of government policy, state, federal, local, tax rates, interest rates, government spending, stimulus spending, austerity. There's none of that. It's what percent of your population is working, how much are they working, and how valuable is the shit they're producing. That's it. I solved economics for you. Someone tell Paul Krugman before he's dead, which, is going to be a couple of years because the man's old. Someone tell him that his entire life has been a waste. I'm deadly serious about that. That man's life has been a complete waste. Someone tell him that he failed at his profession because he diagnosed the problem wrong. He believed in alchemy and turning lead into gold. But there's a similar naivete that I would say these spiritual, cultural, amorphous, philosophical communists have, or at the underlying desires that somehow they don't have to work, that somehow they're going to get to do what they want to do. This is why I always make fun. Some guy comes in, Cap, I have a career question. What should I do for career or education? And I said, well, here are your options. And it's the standard ones that pay. You can be a tradesman. You can be an accountant. And accounting is the one we're kind of pushing because there's a shortage in Chad and all that other stuff. But it's shameful. Well, everybody has a little bit of communism, I guess. And I'm going to say, well, accounting is, you can learn it online, Pay is pretty good. You don't have to go to college to become an accountant. There are a lot of certifications. You could go the traditional route. And 80% of the time, but I don't like it. It sounds boring. Fuck you, Becky from the suburbs. This idea that you get to live in this world and the world bends to your will. But it's almost all the adults are like that. All the professionals. Economists are certainly like that. Oh, we'll figure out a way. Is there a way we can print off more money and not have inflation? Go talk to Paul fucking Krugman. That was hilarious. That was hilarious. Yeah, just print off some more money. Sure, just go print it off, man. I don't give a fuck. Go ahead. Do it. Just see what happens. You got it this time. Anyway, but this idea that everyone keeps holding out hope, that there's some way that they can avoid hard work and get to do what they want. And everyone gets to do that, which if you left that up to men, we'd just be banging big-titted redheads all day. And somehow magically the food we get produced, it's such a when you sit down and think about it, it's such a childish and naive and ultimately stupid expectation. But it affects, I'd say, at least 70% of American adults. Forget the kids. You expect this out of kids, but it's 70% of 75% of American adults are like that. And so I'm not saying we're all card carrying members of the Communist Party, but there's this aspect of communism, mental communism, philosophical communism, however I'm going to label it, that seems to be pervasive in the thought. But I want to go through a couple examples and end it with Disney to point out something about these cultural, philosophical communists and the real legit ones, the true believers as well. So akin to these economists, like, oh, we're going to tweak we'll get the magical formula and then we'll have unlimited wealth. Take a look at any major leftist shithole town. I have San Francisco listed. Minneapolis could be another one of them, but choose any one you want. But look at San Francisco, all right? San Francisco, they're also the municipal leaders, the municipal politicians, the city council, mayor, going back decades that they've had. They have ran not even a municipal level little socialist experiment there over in San Francisco. And nowhere in the bevy of laws that have been passed over the decades and all their policies, nowhere in there is there any kind of individual responsibility. They have had free reign with the most sopping wet vagina juice of all Marxist wet dreams come possible, except for maybe North Korea and the Soviet Union or Venezuela, any of the other wonderful economic powerhouses that exist today. They've had everything. And when you look at the solutions, heck, I just saw an article. What was it? The Chicago mayor was talking about how black and brown businesses, that's him, not me. Businesses or entrepreneurs are helping feed the migrant crisis. And like businesses are, how is that? What's going on over there? And all it was is they just gave food companies, grocers, food shelves. Those aren't even businesses. Those are nonprofits. They just gave them, I think it was $17 million, $18 million, disproportionate black and Hispanic businesses to feed the migrants. And that's some kind of entrepreneurship. Geez, like, no, you just printed off money. Well, the city didn't print off money. You got money from whatever, the taxpayer, federal government, whatever, and you gave it to people. That's not business. Andrew Yang is another perfect example of that, where he's never ran an actual business in his life. It's all nonprofits. But if I was a little rich bitch from, rich Asian parents, I'd have his philosophy too. Why can't we just have more money, people's money? Does his thumb get all like soggy because he's sucking on it all the time? I don't know that about Andrea, but somebody who personally knows him might know that about him. Anyway, the point with San Francisco is there's still this hope and naivete that if we just do these things, if we finally put in these communist, Marxist, leftist, however you want to define it, policies, then it will just magically work. And as evidenced by the absolute shit shows that Democrat-controlled towns, major ones, have become, those policies have failed. But they're gonna forever tweak. They're ever going to forever look and all that. On a much smaller example scale, this would be a micro example. You'll see the occasional article about Marxist restaurants where, oh, just pay what you want and it's ran by committee. To a lesser extent, there was one called Bites. And now sit down, everybody. Not all of you have the entrepreneurial genius to come up with this idea. In Minneapolis, there was a restaurant. Oh my God, the news media was slipping all over their vaginal juice that spilled on the floor because it got so wet because to just rush and fillet this restaurant. It was called Bites, okay? A restaurant called Bites, right? You say, well, Cappy, okay, so it's spelled Bites, right? Bites. No. See, that's why you're not a millionaire genius like these people who tried to run it. I think they ran it for 6 months before it went bankrupt. They spelled it Bytes. You fools couldn't understand how clever that was. And they were going to pay a living wage. Back then, maybe it was $18 an hour. Maybe it was even 30. I'd have to look it up. That's I'm not against paying your employees a fair wage because that way you'd keep them and you wouldn't have turnover. But that's a different discussion where actually I might agree with left leaning people a little bit more on that. But they were going to pay everyone a living wage and it failed. Which, if I had to put money on that between a Marxist restaurant that doesn't charge fee, you pay what you feel, and it's all ruled by the employees like it's a co-op. I would have added, Bites would probably stand the best chance because they were there and make a profit, and it stands to reason to pay your employees enough that they're loyal. Well, even that socialism light thing didn't work out, and they went belly up. That surprisingly, the news media didn't cover it. They didn't cover that. And you have to look for like you had to literally say, what would happen to that? Remember them? They should have taken over the world like Taco Bell and Demolition Man. It should have been, they should have won the franchise wars because they had the business. Oh, it went belly up after 6 months. Oh, okay. So whether it's these Marxist restaurants that some dopey hippie comes into some kind of retirement money and decides to piss it away. There was one in Boston or Massachusetts. There were a couple of them, and they all failed because surprise, no one pays, and the employees don't show up, and they're all upset about your pronouns and all that. Go read. There's several instances of it, and just again, they didn't get the formula right. They did all their Marxist, socialist, leftist, Democrat, and success eluded them again. And then you got Disney, specifically the movie division. I'm pointing out Kathleen Kennedy, but it spreads to the current generation of Disney employees in the movie section. They have a theme park division. And I was listening to, what was it, podcast or something? I guess, so Disney now is getting sued, not just by Gina Carano, an actress for wrongful termination, but it got out there that Disney had quotas that just eschewed straight white men. Like no white dudes. And so I think some amendment center or nonprofit center is suing them for racial and sexual discrimination. I guess just discrimination. And when you look through these DEI requirements, they are racist and sexist and bigoted, but that's the nature of any kind of DEI thing. You have to be racist and sexist. You have to discriminate. That's by definition what you're doing. But then they're absurd. Like you can't, if you're let's say you're a black animator, right? You can't draw a white character. It's like, what? Which really limits the amount of work you can do. If you could only, it kind of backfired on my Disney's headed up by a bunch of idiots. We'll get to it later. But, like, oh my God, we're going to help out the black artist. All right. But you can only draw people of your same race and gender, I believe. So what percent of animated characters in all the movies that Disney's is going to be black males? I think it was voice acting was the same thing. You can only voice someone that you're the same race or gender of. What the hell's wrong with you? Who's got the budget for that? So what you find out is that there has been um, a generational change within Disney. There was the old guard who made movies that you guys probably like Aladdin or The Lion King. Probably a little. I was a little too old. I mean, I saw these movies, but what's the Pixar one that came out? Um, with Buzz Lightyear. Why can't I remember? Toy Story. So Toy Story and all that. A lot of you were kids. You loved it. And it's been in the past 10 years or so, there's been a slow changing of a guard, and no different than, a corporation is just a compilation of individual human beings. And just as cancer will take over a body, certain cells are cancerous and they slowly multiply and start to outnumber the productive ones. And that's kind of what happened over at Disney. And this is happening for 20 years. I mean, always, I guess it happens, the young guard always takes over the old guard. But as the old timers were either retiring or told to leave, if you want, look at Pixar, he was accused of sexual harassment and then he had to leave. Um, also, the young people as they were coming in, and just so you know, when you're looking at animators and artists and writers, obviously they're going to skew to the left, but now you have this woke generation, probably millennials and younger. And millennials now are in their younger 40s, the older ones. So we're not talking little kids anymore. We're talking there's the next generation is going to take over. The boomers and the Xers either get up into management or they retire or they're pushed out. And essentially a cultural communist woke left-leaning identity politics traitist political philosophy took over a cartoon company, over a movie company, which you would say there should be no political philosophy. There shouldn't be a communist philosophy or a woke philosophy or a Christian philosophy or a Marx, not Marx, what's the opposite? A capitalist or fascist. You should just make good shows, good movies for all people. If you want to have a little bit of a lesson in there or something, but you're really there to produce good movies that everyone wants to see. But because these people, and I'm 100% serious about this. Oh, I got made fun of because I said teachers are brainwashing your kids. Like, oh well, because this generation of artists and content creator, whatever the people that Disney would hire, have a political ideology first above anything else, like talent. They started ramming heads with the senior management and the veteran cartoon animators and voice actors and all that. And what inevitably ended up happening is maybe not by leadership, and maybe you don't see it in the executive management team or the division heads, but on the cellular level, on the individual level, the cancer of whatever woke politics, leftist by communist politics have taken over. And you could see that in the movies, the hatred of whites, the hatred of males, the hatred of straight white males, the non-stop pushing of girl boss just doesn't end. Oh my God. It's very obvious and plain, but well, before I get ahead, and you can see the failure. Just like San Francisco failed, Marxist restaurants failed, economists have yet to figure out the magical policies that yield lead into gold. Disney failed, especially the past year, the movie division anyway, where they lost about $1 billion, had $1 billion loss. And that's significant that shrank their profits by about a quarter of what it would have been. And so you say, oh, look, there is failure. For those of us outside the echo chamber, for those of us who say, well, maybe you shouldn't, Seattle, well, maybe you shouldn't provide needles and heroin. Maybe you should, Minneapolis, maybe you should not let people burn down buildings. Maybe you should, San Francisco, maybe you should arrest people for any level of theft, not $900 because you're too lazy to enforce the laws. We could see the failure, but they can't. And whereas everyone is focusing outside of these echo chambers, especially if you happen to be right-leaning politics, but not necessarily, just common sense. You look at it and you say, well, you're doing that, and this failed. You're doing this and that failed. Why can't you see having your 48th girl boss triumvirate show with permanent resting bitch face and 2 affirmative action hires? Why don't you get that? And you're not wrong, but here's the thing that you missed, and it was reminded when I was listening to this podcast. The old guard, which, oh my goodness, might have been disproportionately white males, said they don't have any skills or talent, whether they're animators, narrators, voice actors, writers. They're saying, like, no, the quality is not there. You need to up your game and all that. And the ideologues, the NPCs that came out of the schools with a hefty dose of social, and that's all they cared about, they did not care about quality. If anything, they complained and probably filed complaints and harassment complaints, kicked the old guard out, or the old guard said, fuck this, I'm out. And out went the old guard that actually had talent and ability, and in came the new guard that had only their politics. And what I think everyone's missing here, you all keep, why is Disney doing this? Don't they realize they're making money? You don't understand. They don't care. And it's not even that they're like, yeah, we want to bring Disney down. They don't care. Their politics is the most important thing. And since their politics is the most important thing, whether it's economists trying to turn lead into gold, San Francisco, Chicago, city councilmen, mayors, whatever, Marxist restaurants, or even Kathleen Kennedy herself and Disney and the people that are in the movie division, right? Not only meant their politics blind them, but here's the one flaw all the communists have. And that is, you guys don't have any abilities. You have no talents. You have no skill. And here's where you need to understand the leftist, culturally leftist, Marxist, I guess woke, not necessarily hard card carrying communist party member. These people really think about Kathleen Kennedy. Think about what she's done. It is obvious to me now that she literally thought that there is no responsibility or burden of performance or call for a requirement of skill or talent for her to make movies. I think communists have this idea where, I mean, you look at like actual communists where the capitalists have all the means of productions. Well, why don't you go start your own company? Well, one, they're lazy, they don't want to do it. They just want more fucking money for the same shit level of work that they do. But they really think and I even saw this in banking, like, I'm a businessman. You'd see this entrepreneur type businessman who thought that being a businessman, being some kind of leader or an entrepreneur, was you just got a bunch of money from the bank. You paid everyone else to do the work for him. Sometimes not even going so far as to say, well, do we need suppliers? They literally just thought, oh, I'm going to lease out a building and I'm going to rent it to this, and that's all I'm going to do, bro. No concept of getting permits, filing LLCs, all the stuff that goes into running a business. And these people are the same thing, but pick whatever project it is, a business, a restaurant, a city, a municipality, or a multi-billion dollar, maybe soon not to be a multi-billion dollar corporation like Disney. There are people that literally think that the capitalists or the workers or the old guard or more modernly white males or whatever the hated group is at that point in time, they think you just, oh yeah, we just show up and we take Legos. It's like Legos. Well, I take a little bit of this, I take a little bit of that, and I put it in, and poof, I got myself a municipality that runs efficiently. I have myself a great blockbuster movie. I have myself a running business, or I have myself a successful restaurant. And not only would I accuse most of these people just being lazy, natural human laziness that everyone has, Marxists especially, though, but they really do think that in their minds there was no magic. There was no skill. There was no ability. Just like economists think, well, we could adjust interest rates here. We do this with tax rates. We do this with government spending. And then boom, then they unlock the formula and the secret. So too these people think, well, I just get let's use Kathleen Kennedy as an example. I get an IP, okay? And then I have the movie, let's say the filmatographers, the film. I have some directors. I have some writers. We get actors and actresses. Well, I have a vagina, so obvious it's going to be. And then, as guided by their whatever communist leftist more woke ideology, we have the checkbox. We have a black Hispanic male. We have a lesbian. We have whatever. You've seen it. You've seen them go through, and there's the proof positive that they literally thought it's just checkbox, and we just put it together. We don't even bother mixing it. Like a chef, they got to throw in the ingredients. They'll actually mix it. Here's almost exactly what it's like. The Lego analogy is pretty good, but they really think like they're chefs. You take all these compartments and things, and they just put it in a bowl, and then poof, all of a sudden you got yourself some great lasagna. They don't mix anything. They don't preheat. They don't chill. I'm not a chef. My girlfriend's a great cook, and just watching her, you just don't throw ingredients in and then it comes out. You need to actually stir the pot. You need to preheat the oven. You need to do all this, spray the Pam on the thing. You got to cook the bacon first and then wrap it around the jalapenos. Yes, I am spoiled with my girlfriend's cooking. It's wonderful. I wish you guys could have it, but you don't, because cooking is evil and bad. Ew, girls giving am I a slave? Anyway, getting back to the cooking analogy, that's really what these people think. And there is always the eternal fear of labor. I get that. But this is the ultimate flaw of the communists, the leftist culture, generally speaking. You're talentless. You have no abilities. You have no skill because you're too lazy to pick them up along the way. And you are actually short-sighted enough to, that was all the communism was. Like, oh, the capitalist pigs have J.P. Morgan and Andrew Carnegie, they just sat on their ass and took the capital and put it in, oh my God, oil, oh my God, a finance empire. Bill Gates he just grabbed some capital. He didn't program nothing, although some people claim he didn't program anything, but he didn't like sit on meetings. Or Jeff Bezos, 20 years with 80-hour work weeks, making sure to plug everything in and get it all up and running. No. These guys they just benefited from whatever the patriarchy or sexism or whatever the capitalist pigs. They just got money. And then poof, no. And you're seeing that, and you could see it with San Francisco. You could see it at Marks. I said, but man, are you seeing it with Disney? Because we could pick on Kathleen Kennedy all day. She's just one person. And a manager at a certain level might do like, hey, you put this together. But there seems to be absolutely no work, no talent, no desire. You want to see how lazy and talentless they are when they will do a comic hero movie. They get a superhero, right? None of them read about what's canon. None of them do the research about what this superhero did and who his or her allies were and the other key things. They don't watch any of the previous movies or cartoons that might have been about it, and they just write Marxist leftist slop because that's what they're programmed to do. And you can tell. You can tell. Take Toy Story 1 and compare it to, I don't know, the Marvels. But hey, this I do know. The Marvels was, I think, the first comic book hero movie directed by a black woman, which would be fine if that black woman had any fucking talent, which she did not, because once again, the politics override the ability of meritocracy, which you may hate that, but your products are fucking shit. And this is some you communist, leftist, social card-carrying Communist Party member or not, maybe more of a philosophical, like, at the end of the day, you better have some fucking skills and talent and bring some actual value to your work. You better, because otherwise it's going to fail. And it's going to keep failing. Now, I could go into like the individual policies as to why leftist policies in general fail. I'm going to focus on labor and lack of incentives and All right, that we can we'll leave that for another day. But y'all like Mayor Jacob Fry. You think you just show up for meetings and you have sessions and then somehow, without you putting effort in and holding people's feet to the fire and making the organization you work for produce an actual real quality product or deliver a quality service, you all just think it's just because it's easy. The capitalists, the whatever, the leader, they just come in, they had all the capital all the day. Nope. At the end of the what you think Genghis Khan Genghis Khan, let's pick him. What, he just showed up? He just went to the bank over in Mongolia, and dad ran the bank, and yeah, give me the money, dad. I want to go raid and pillage over to the west. Oh, here you go. Well, you don't think there was some strategery going on there? You don't think he was like sending his brother, you go take care of that. I got to take care. I think they actually had an amazing communication. You don't think system, they had a great communication system, but you don't think they were practicing on horseback with bows and arrows? You don't think there was when it came to battles, they sat and thought like, oh no, I just put all the okay, there's the army. I don't have to lead them or anything. They should just know what to do. What shocks me is when you look at some of these writers, like go look at the people who are the writers of She-Hulk. I'm uh, I don't work in Hollywood, but why would you forget them being female? Why would you give such young and experienced people such a budget? Why would what did they do to earn that and deserve that? And all of, and it showed. I thought, no, they can't be that dumb. They got to know. They got to have a better show than this. Nope, it was just we don't like men, and we're gonna express our frustrations with them. That was, if you're wondering what She-Hulk is about, it is a bunch of approaching middle-aged gals. They were youngish, late 20s, early 30s. We're pissed off with men in our lives, and we're going to make a show about it. She just happens to be a female Hulk who's a lawyer. And you know what? You can almost make anything go with good writing and a good plot and a good product. It doesn't matter if the pizza is square or circle. It doesn't matter if the chocolate sundae comes in one of them fancy tall glass things or a ceramic bowl. If you got a good product, it's a good product, and you could kind of make any. I mean, that was what Seinfeld was. It was a show about nothing, but it was good, clever writing. You guys have multiverses and space aliens and different creatures from different planets, and you still can't make anything that holds a light to Seinfeld. Seinfeld's just four schmucks in apartment buildings over in New York. And that's the thing you communists are never going to get about. It would also take you to admit, that wow, you're right. I don't have talent or skills. It'd also take you to admit that you're not the audience. You're not the customer. You're not the most important person. Other people are. They're the ones who are going to give you the money. Well, I'll just be a whore. We're all whores. You're damn right. People don't, what you think the people want to work at the factory? Because no, they're doing it because they're getting paid. But you could, and I'll try actually in a sad way. I'm actually trying to help the leftists and the communist types and the socialists in that you're not going to, hopefully you stop wasting your life. Because what's that like having your show canceled? What's that? I gotta ask Paul Krugman. Well, I don't want to talk to, I couldn't care less about him. But what's that like? All the stuff you promote and propagandize, and it just turns to shit. Like when you look every place your policies are implemented, people are poor, they're shitting in the streets, they're doing heroin, there's crime. Like, how's that feel? Or would you like to maybe leave something in society that's good? Would you like to actually develop a skill and a talent and be of some use and value to society? Or maybe you're just so blinded by frankly, it's your politics of hatred and envy because other people had more than you. No, okay, other people mostly generally earned more than you because they were better. They produced better products and services. And if you're so blinded by the hatred and envy that other people did better than you and are actually going to be remembered, God almighty, I mean, does anyone care about their legacy? You're going to die, but your legacy is going to continue on. This is, you're going to see it. You will see it because don't worry, we all have to go back to reality because reality kind of insists. In the future, they will be using this epic or era in Hollywood, the woke era, whatever you want to call it. Like, look at this shit trash. You know how we make fun of the Romans? We're like, look, it's all bred in circuses, and they expanded their empire, and they relied too heavily on slave labor. Things we can see now and look back and say, but essentially Romans were lazy. But the Romans didn't know that at the time. They didn't think that. Lord knows what was it? There was more holidays than they weren't in the Roman calendar. And it's the same thing here. Don't worry. I know you get all pissed off. people are going to watch these movies like, man, that was trash. They're watching the movies now and they're saying it's trash. And people are leaving San Francisco. I think San Francisco's population is down by 7% in 2 years. It's significant. With don't worry, reality will win in the end. I mean, they're trying to recreate the movies and purify them for modern audiences. Man, I would be, if I was Disney or Hollywood in general, I'd be grabbing all your woke movies and I'd be getting rid of all those. I'd have a huge old book burning because it's going to be shameful. Going to be, they're going to look at like, wow, look at this director. Look at the crap they came out with. It's even happening. I love watching Ziegler. I love watching that idiotic twit just run face head into reality. Oh yeah, is that what you're gonna do with Snow White? Snow White and the Seven Portlanders? Okay, all right. See how that goes. And there's a little bit of, I mean, for those of you who are looking for a little bit of sanity or whatever, there's some good news because these people are living to see it. They are losing money. The real world society is rejecting it. But just for those of you who are, you got this big old missing piece, and that's skills and ability. It's not putting pieces together and unlocking the formula. It's a lot harder than you think it is. And I love it. Here's another experiment in communism. All right, here's a movie studio. Go put your little blocks together and see if you can make a movie. You can't. You know why? You know what's missing? Skill and talent. And frankly, you leftists don't have it because your ideology is pure laziness. That's all it is. You were misled to think that it's all circumstance and God, it's almost like humans aren't human. There's no there's no creativity, there's no human spirits. Nope, it's just formulas. We're just robots. And there's no absolute skill and talent. Well, if that was the case, you should have at least broken even. And you didn't. All right, let's go to super chats quick, and then I'm going to have myself some homemade chili. Reen Schwartzer, $5. Crappy. My buddy bought a 2024 Mustang. I tried to stop him. Remember, communists aren't human. Remember this when voting for collapse girls. That's too bad that he bought a brand new Mustang. He will be poor for the rest of his life. But you know what? At least he didn't have to go to the gym to impress anyone. At least he didn't actually have to do anything. He bought a car. So that's really cool. He's cool now. I hope his life is fulfilled. Tekken for pennies, $5. Did you see that San Francisco passed a new bill paying people not to shoot each other 300? I'm way out of focus. Yeah, they're getting desperate. I mean, come on, man. They got UBI in Minneapolis, they got rent controls. And now you're just gonna pay each other not to shoot one another? How about you give everybody a gun and allow for self-defense? And stand your ground law. How would that? Because then you have to admit you're wrong. And then you have to admit that you're a talentless, worthless piece of shit. Reen Schwartzer, $5. Fat chicks are upset they're getting Ozempic ads, plus the Stellar Blade controversy, and the TikTok girls. Can we call it yet? Seems like it's over. I know the Stellar Blade because an attractive woman is the video game character. And don't worry about it. Go buy Stellar Blade. I'm going to buy Stellar Blade when I get back home. And I even wasn't going to play it, but now I'm making a point. If the left and the fatties and the uglies and the feminists are going to complain, I will buy the game. I will. And who doesn't like a pretty girl? I mean, when's the last time you saw a pretty girl play on the video? I'm not play a video game, but you've seen on the screen. And then our girls complaining. Hang on. Girls complaining about Ozempic. Hang on. I'm sure some are. It's a big country and there's a lot of weirdos. There we go. The last person I'd want to be is a fat chick in the United States because no one has the balls to tell you how to you're upset you're getting Ozempic ads. Okay. All right. No, you should be. Yeah, sister. You should be totally pissed off. Why don't you go have some more donuts? Fight the patriarchy. Get even fatter. Thomas Crown, $5. John Bon Jovi has a similar pay what you can restaurant in the New Jersey area. I wish I could see the financials to know what a sinkhole it probably is. Oh, it is. I mean, but he's got millions of dollars. Maybe at that point, just run a charity. I don't know why a pay what you can restaurant. I don't get that. Just run a charity, run a food shelf, man. But it's his money. All right, he can do what he wants. Adam Schmidt, $5. I just bought a $1,500 TV. $1,500 TV. How big is that thing? He has Cappy's Amazon affiliate link. I'll let everyone know when Chad sets up his. Well, thanks, Adam. I appreciate that. So actually, now you gave Chad $100 yesterday, but what a 5% commission, 150. That's that. Okay, we're friends now again. But thank you very much for doing that. And I really got to promote my Amazon affiliate link more. If you guys want to do all your shopping online, go to olderbrother.com/donate. You click on the Amazon banner, and then I get a commission and cut. You don't pay anything. How many inches is a $1,500 TV? Because I got a pretty big. I think I had a 60-inch TV for like $600. What does $1,500 get you? And but just kidding. you dick. You dick. Wisdom Vision Productions, $2. It's not about money. It's about sending a message. Yeah, but at the end, they don't realize what I'm pointing out, the leftists are failing and they probably don't know why. It's got to be frustrating. I know there's hatred. I know they would love to tear it down. But even when they tried to, they captured it. They got their little socialist utopia. They have yet another microcosmic, small scale communist example, Disney Studios. You can hate whites, you can hate males, you can do all the crazy leftist woke shit. And at the end of the day, no one likes your shit because it sucks. Because ultimately, you suck. You do have the resources, you have capital, you have the IP, you have the brand name. But you got your filmatographers, you got your techs, you got all those guys. I didn't imagine the directors. You just got shit writers, shit actors, and then I don't know who else is in producers. What's a producer? I don't know what everyone else does. You got the plane, it's all ready to go. You're just a shitty pilot. Universal Coordinate, 8 Australian. Cappy, they'd rather recycle a shit movie than be creative and come up with something new, lazy left policy. Thank you, Universal. That's another point. You're like, geez, can you just come up with a new idea? They can't. That's too hard. They don't have the creative potential. They don't have the ability. And the Fantastic Four, what? Dude, come up with something else. I'm sorry you missed the 80s, guys. The 80s movies were great. It's a flying DeLorean, and it goes back in time, okay? Wisdom Vision Productions, $5. Commies be like farmers. What are those? There's another example. The communists literally thought back in the Soviet Union, oh, well, we'll just take over the farms. All you do is you add water, you maybe spread it out a little. They don't know anything about crop yield, rotating crops, chemicals, fertilizer. They know nothing about it. They know, and look, they think they can run a city, and the people are stupid enough to vote for them. But you got to admit, that's a special kind of stupid if you're San Francisco, Chicago, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Baltimore, Philadelphia, and other leftist crowd. New York. I'm sorry, I forgot you guys, New York. How's that going, having all the bums being able to, like, assault you and not do anything about it, huh? Yeah. Christmas presents are delivered by Santa, and food obviously comes from the grocery store warehouse elves. Absolutely. Adam Schmidt, slowly earning himself back into my good graces. $5. Oops, by just kidding, I meant that I'll tell everyone about Chad's link. I truly did buy the TV. I couldn't joke about that, but thanks for laughing. Okay, good. That was a pretty clever joke. I still don't have to worry about no super chat. I'm wondering what a $1,500 TV. I mean, it's got to be huge. It's just got to be huge. All right, link below. Enjoy the decline, except in living with the death of the United States. It's coming. And then also, sanity is the future of wealth. If you're pissed off at these leftists and just how they're ruining society, go read that. It's an essay. It's not even a book. It's an essay. And you'd be much happier. And that's it. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.